All right, and welcome to your Relationship 911 call, as it's been labeled by some of my clients. Hey, if you're in a marriage or you're in a dedicated relationship and you just feel like, the passion's gone out, or, you may be on the verge of divorce, or maybe on the verge of leaving that person you're with, sit back and relax. You're going to learn in the next 5 minutes or so just a couple of things that I can teach you that you can really implement in your life, a couple tools that you can implement in your life that are going to really have a major effect in your relationship and your personal life alone. So sit back and listen, and I hope you get some good quality content. And remember, you can always contact me through the website and ask any more questions you need. Okay, let's get started. Now, I'm going to be talking fast because, we only got about 5 minutes here, so take some notes, replay it if you like, whatever it may be. But today what we're talking about is excuses and communication. Both seemingly different, but very important in a relationship. And first thing we're going to be talking about is excuses. Now, excuses are basically what we tell ourselves that is not true. We tell ourselves things to cover up pain. We tell ourselves things to keep ourselves from being embarrassed. We tell ourselves things that are just, like I said, not true. It's not the true you. It's not the true reality of life. And your brain is a very powerful thing. The more and more you tell yourself excuses, the more and more it becomes a reality to you, and the less likely you are to be able to see it as reality and go ahead and fix it. So what do I mean? Well, let me tell you a little quick story. Earlier on in my business, one of my first clients, she called me and said, you know what, I'm just on the verge of divorce. I can't stand him anymore. I need something in my life. I don't feel the love anymore. And what it turned out to be was that he was a working father and husband, and she was a stay-at-home mother and wife. And she had just felt like the communication and the love and everything was just gone. It wasn't like it was in the beginning. And in the beginning it was, kiss him goodbye and hug him when he gets home and playful. And even with the kids, they had 3 kids, and even with the kids, everything was fine. But towards the end of the marriage, at the time she called me, I think they were married somewhere around 5 or 6 years, she just felt like everything was empty. And this is where, when my clients say, there's no way one person in a relationship can come to you and help and get help for it, it's absolutely not true. One person in the relationship can change themselves and change the entire relationship. And I'll tell you why. What had happened was that she had put her entire life into the kids and into her husband, which is fine. But what she forgot to do was take time for herself. And she kept making excuses. Okay, back to our excuses. She kept making excuses. Well, I'm too busy. And, I really don't have any hobbies anymore. And, the husband just, he needs so much of me. I just can't do it. And her fear, it went back to a lot of things with her fear of failure and her fear of a lot of things that we resolved. And she was able to find a hobby, find something for herself again. And this is after about a month or 2 of talking to her. She was able to find something that enthralled her again. Because you see, someone who's really just doing the same thing day after day and bored with their life is not going to be attracted to themselves, and they're not going to be attracted to anyone else, including her husband. But when she found something that she wanted, and she found something that she loved, she got back into it, and man, her life exploded. And her husband saw that, and he was so much more attractive. And actually, her hobby wound up being one of the things her husband liked to do, and they actually started a small business with that, which was great. But the point is, when she gave up her excuses of I'm too busy, or I just can't do that, or I can't afford this, or I can't, the marriage is dead, there's nothing that can be done. All these excuses were all untrue, but she had told herself these things for such a long time in order to cover up fear and cover up pain that it became a reality to her, until I came along and kind of shoved it in her face and said, no, you're lying to yourself. You're just making excuses so you don't feel any pain. So that's the excuses part. And if you are making excuses for yourself. You may know, you may not know, but the fact of the matter is you need to really dig deep and figure out what the actual truth is and what it is not. Because you could be making the marriage worse or the relationship worse for yourself, and absolutely you're making your own life worse for yourself. Alright, real quickly, let's talk about communication, because we're already over the 5-minute mark here and I didn't want to keep you for very long. Remember, communication is not just the actual verbal words you're saying to each other. It's not after the fight is over that you're now going to talk about things, or you're going to try and talk about things. Communication is an ongoing process throughout the day that you need to think about. You have to realize, when you realize what kind of person your mate is, what kind of person they are, why they do certain things, where they're coming from. You have to take all that into account when you even come home and come through the door, because if you have taken it all into account, you know what their day might have been like, you know what their certain stresses are, and you're going to know what buttons to push and what buttons not to push. Okay, communication starts in your own mind, knowing your own mate, and really treasure hunting for all those little bits of information that you can bring up about your mate that's going to help you when you come home and when you see them, to further then verbally communicate things and physically communicate things to them. A quick example: have you ever been in a fight and you actually found out that you were wrong about something? Well, you kind of feel like you put your foot in your mouth when you said something that you've later found out that, oh, that person really didn't mean that, and you think you were offended, but you weren't, because that person really wasn't trying to offend you. When you look inside yourself and look inside your mate, and you try and to what I call pre-communicate, that's that time when you're really understanding who your mate is. When you do all that, when you do your basic homework and pre-communicate things, then those times are going to be less, that you put your foot in your mouth and you come up with, oh, I didn't mean to say that, when you were wrong about something. Those times are going to be less when you do truly understand your mate. Of course there's going to be miscommunications, and of course there's going to be some arguments. That's what a fight is, that's what a relationship is about, is communicating, and sometimes it does turn into an argument, but it doesn't always have to be a screaming match. In fact, it never has to be a screaming match. What it has to be is a good communication between people who understand each other's needs, and have a slight difference in what they want at that certain time, and they come to an agreement somewhere along the road. Okay, real quick, let's wrap up here. So, excuses are like a cancer in your life and in your marriage. You need to get rid of those excuses. Find out what you're telling yourself that's truly not true, and it's going to be painful with some people. I guarantee it's going to be painful, but the pain will be much less severe than what you're headed towards. It could be divorce, it could be breaking up, but you know what? This is not the only time it's going to happen unless you get rid of those excuses. It's going to happen over and over again. Tell yourself the truth. On to communication. Make sure that you know that communication is not just a simple verbal thing between you and your mate. It is an ongoing thing. Mentally remembering and trying to figure out who your mate is, an ongoing thing, and you will actually, if you see it like a treasure hunt, trying to figure out more and more about your mate, you will love it. You will get enthralled. It'll become like a game. You'll love it. It'll improve your marriage, improve your relationship. And look, guys, if you want more on the CD, just order the CD. It is packed full of information like this, over an hour long, and you also get some other bonuses that I mentioned in there. So contact me about that, and you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.